There is an exit to my rear there. There is another exit to your rear and out the front door. That said, I'd like you to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to begin with a public comment period. I think I've got a couple of people here who wish to make a comment.
Is that what you
Sanjay?
Good evening, Mr. Parsons and members of the Town Council. My name is Sanjay Shaw, and I live at 4 Puddin Hill Road in South Salem. Over the last 5 years, I've been involved in litigation against the New Canaan Planning and Zoning Commission over their approval of the Grace Community Church development on Winsham Farms, which is across the street from where I live. The approval was initially 5 years ago, and I'm primarily concerned with traffic and safety as a result of this development. There will be one entrance on Lewisboro Road, which, if you know the area, turns into Puddin Hill Road as you travel eastward. The church's own traffic study from 5 years ago, which is the most recent traffic study, establishes that 60% of the traffic to and from the church will travel on Puddin Hill Road. It establishes that the level of service on Puddin Hill Road will deteriorate as a result of the church-generated traffic, both during Sundays as well as during the weekdays. And finally, and perhaps most alarmingly, the traffic study submitted by the church establishes that the Sunday traffic volumes will go from off-peak levels to peak levels, actually to levels that far exceed peak levels on Puddin Hill Road. Unfortunately, I lost the litigation. I was Judge Mondelez from the Superior Court ruled against me in January of 2012. Appeals from the Superior Court and land use decisions in Connecticut are discretionary with the appellate court. My petition for certification was denied. However, the church is applying for a new permit. It's applying for an amendment to the special permit. It is seeking approval of a much larger structure with many more uses. And I'm here to request and make a formal request of the Town Council to consider sending a representative to the New Canaan Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which will be held on October 23rd, 2012, I believe at 7:30, to let them know that they should not approve this application unless they require the applicant to obtain the approval of Lewisboro. I am making a similar request of Pound Ridge, and I make this request because Puddin Hill Road, as you know, is partially in the town of Lewisboro and partially in the town of Pound Ridge. And I think that the New Canaan Planning and Zoning Commission acted very cavalierly when they initially thought it was sufficient to just give Lewisboro and Pound Ridge notice. Because there is a material adverse impact on Puddin Hill Road as a result of this project, I think that it is incumbent upon them to require the applicant to get approval from Lewisboro and Pound Ridge. I apologize for the short notice, and I've discussed this very briefly with Mr. Parsons. I have, unfortunately, a very voluminous submission. It has the information which I think you need. I thought it would be better to err on the side of over-inclusion than under-inclusion. If I may approach and distribute the copies, I've already given a copy to Town Council. You get the original, and copies for everyone else.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Happy to answer any questions.
Sanjay, I took the liberty of calling Pound Ridge today and have had some conversation with a town board member there who seems to know the most about this project, Dick Lyman. And he and I going to get together and try and figure out some kind of a combined approach on this.
Okay. I appreciate that. I got an email from Mr. Lyman this evening. I will be communicating with him as well.
Okay, fine.
And
Is
if
it-
there- sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, is it within the Pound Ridge Town Board's purview to try to, insert themselves and adjust the situation or not, though, is one of my questions. It's within the zoning board now, right?
Right, I mean.
Of New Canaan.
Of New Canaan.
Of New Canaan. Oh, you're already combined approach, I'm sorry.
Right, because this
Right.
is affecting
This is a
Foothill
New Canaan
Road.
issue.
And Judge Montague's, in his opinion, which is included in the package, held that it was incumbent upon Lewisboro and Pound Ridge to get involved. I don't think that's true because I.
God, that was a mistake on my part. The second question I had is was kind of like rhetorical, but, and maybe to our attorney, it seems obvious that, under certain circumstances, if you were building some, extreme thing there that has an effect across the street in another jurisdiction, that jurisdiction would not.
Well, I'm assuming Lewisboro was noticed.
It
Your
was
issue is
notified.
that you feel that it should be more than notice and that Lewisboro should have to give approval,
Absolutely.
which is,
Right, suppose you had some huge, it's a, nuclear power plant, whatever, and you're right across the street, but you're in another jurisdiction. What does the law say to that?
well, neighboring municipalities are noticed, and it just
Notice, but no
noticed and given
authority.
opportunity to be heard.
Yeah, opportunity to be heard.
You
but
don't have
to
veto
show-
power.
That's right.
You don't have veto power.
So that's
It's
the
home
issue
rule,
here,
you
so-
can't.
So if there's
Thank you,
no
sir.
further questions, I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Take care.
Does anybody else want to make
You can go and-
make use? All right, Gary, you.
That's already there.
Gary, will you introduce yourself? I'm not
Yes.
sure everybody knows who
He
you
wants
are.
us to.
Thank you.
No,
My name
of
is
course.
Dr. Gary Altheim. I'm the founder and executive director of Growth and Development Services, and I'm here to invite you all to a meeting on October 25th. Basically, I'm the executive director and founder of Growth and Development Services. My wife and I lead the not-for-profit agency, and our job in the community, we're going to be doing a series of workshops to help strengthen and empower the community. Growth and Development Services is an agency that has helped equip families and communities with the tools they need to cope with tough life challenges. We have proven success in affecting change and sustained growth. People that come through our program have improved mental health, better social behavior, and improved academic standing. Our training services help educate parents, youth workers, and professionals on effective ways to help children, families, and adults. Lewisboro and the neighboring communities are going through very, very challenging times right now that are affecting our youth and our families. Peer pressure, academic demands, and family discord. According to conversations we've had with many people in the community, these concerns are very, very difficult to talk about. I strongly encourage and I believe it is a moral imperative that the teachers, administrators, parents, coaches, youth 12 to 18, accompanied by their caretakers, supervisor, councilman, all join me, GDS Westchester, and other members of this community to begin to address these very serious concerns. And that first meeting is going to be October 25th. We have handouts. Sarita is a volunteer, is kind enough. We have a bunch of handouts for you to give out. And basically, we're going to have a meeting to discuss and brainstorm ways that, as you said, Mr. Parsons, in the beginning, to empower and bring our community together. It's a hawk-like town, and we need to begin to talk about some very tough issues. And GDS is willing to volunteer and as an agency to begin to that process with everyone, and you're all invited to start the process.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Okay.
Are you talking to the schools also?
I've been in contact with the schools since last year. I was very involved from day one since last October, and it's a very, very difficult thing to discuss. And we're here to do it in a very positive way. The South Salem Presbyterian Church is going to do an event in mid-November. We're going to do music, we're going to have fun, and we're going to start to talk about these tough issues because they're not going to go away unless we deal with them.
Where else are you advertising this?
I'm hoping that the Daily Voice, and I'm open to wherever we can get the word out. This is really, anyone is invited. I have a lot of parents that I've spoken to, and teenagers, and as a youth volunteer, as a graduate of Fox Lane and other graduates. We just put our heads together. What do we do next? We have to do something. Thank you.
Gary, thank you, and
Okay.
thank you for in particular for the work you've done with the Vista Fire Department.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Al Kim to talk to us about the Westchester, who's the director of the Westchester EMS,
Thank you, Supervisor
to talk
Parsons.
to us about the fly car services in this town.
Thank you, Supervisor Parsons and the council. Thank you for the invitation. I took this opportunity to introduce the service that has been providing the ALS or paramedic service for the town of Lewisboro since 2000. I think people know of the paramedic service, but it's sort of not thought of until the time that you need it. And that's usually the way it goes. And it's also, I think, an opportunity for people to learn or maybe have some questions about what a paramedic service is, and give you some background on it. I wrote up a little bio about our service. I'll approach the table, and maybe you guys can find that out. In the year 2000, the region here, the 8 towns that make up northern Westchester, Lewisboro being among them, the ambulances themselves are operated by the volunteer agency. And here you have the Lewisboro VAC, or LVAC. You have the fire department of Wilton's Bridge and Vista. They do have ambulances. They have what they call basic life support, or BLS. They're staffed with EMTs, and they're your neighbors and citizens and volunteers. They do the actual transport of the patient to the hospital. Now, with that said, if the patient requires advanced life support, usually cardiac in nature or an accident that involves severe injuries, the standard is to call for a higher level of service. A higher level of care requires paramedics. They're the highest trained pre-hospital personnel in the field, and that is what we provide. We are a part of Stellaris Health Network. It's a subsidiary, Westchester EMS is, and it is the parent company of 4 hospitals in the region, including Northern Westchester Hospital, Phelps Memorial, Lawrence, and White Plains. So we're part of the network of facilities, and our staff get educated at part of the Phelps Hock Institute as well. The paramedics respond to approximately 5,000 calls annually, about 498 to be exact in the town of Lewisboro, along with your volunteers. I don't know if you have any questions regarding the kinds of cases that we may have encountered, without getting too graphic.
Is it 498 per year?
Excuse me?
498 per year in town of Lewisboro?
Yes. Yes. Roughly 10% of the total calls. It's a shared service.
Of those 498, do all of them require ALS?
No. About 50% do not require paramedics. The other 50 will respond to. And it's triaged down to the EMTs or the basic life.
Look at auto accidents are the #1.
Yes. Yes. It seems that not only in Lewisboro, but across the entire region that we service, motor vehicle crashes or accidents are the #1 calls that we respond to.
One of the, I will admit some bias. When we reach a certain age, we are probably more interested in this kind of service than we were
Naturally.
as when we were in our 20s. As I understand it, one of the reasons why frequently you are not needed having been called is quite simply that it takes considerable expertise to know when you are needed. Because the fall down the stairs, what is it?
Exactly. Exactly. Something simple as a fall or someone down on the floor or a trip. The question would come that did they get dizzy and fall? or simply trip and fall, and there's a significant difference between the two. So if the caller is not able to identify that, and the call receiver is not able to discern certain kind of information, the safer way to go would be to dispatch both, the basic life support, i.e. the ambulance, and the paramedics, the flat car.
So who usually initiates the call to your service? Is it?
It goes through 911, and so the PSAP, or the way the calls are broken down, is it goes to the 911 operator, it goes to the county, 60 control, and they dispatch us directly. And so they do a system called emergency medical dispatching, and the call taker, asks certain questions in a tree that would try to discern whether or not advanced life support would be needed. There are certain things they just require ALS automatically, some things such as car accidents. If it sounds like it may not be serious, but someone could be pinned, would automatically request a paramedic to be dispatched.
You threw out some numbers, and it,
Sure.
it reminds me of my feeling often that we don't have enough numbers, and we don't necessarily know enough about the kinds of incidents that go on in our town, and specifically if there are patterns around certain things that go on the roads or whatever. Do you keep statistics like that?
We do. Most recently, if you look at the second page, there are some data. We do even track certain kinds of roads or routes that have resulted in accidents with fatalities. And we've been able to successfully have guardrails put up with the Department of Transportation.
Would you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, actually, it was in the town of Somers.
No, not necessarily, but if you have that information for our town.
Yes,
Sure.
all right. I have got to fess up to something. I have got this huge report here,
Yes.
which was delivered to me on the details of their service with a mass of statistics in it. And I have not circulated it to the board, and I probably, in fact, I will.
Okay. If
How
you need
about
more
that?
copies, I'll certainly be glad to provide them.
Well, one
Soft
thing,
copies would be good. Do you have it in soft, in electrons? That'd be
We
easier.
do have electronic copies,
That'd be
yes.
easier.
In fact, Supervisor Parsons may even have the electronic copies.
All right, so we can
himself.
get them. But do you have, does part of the studies have response times?
It does.
It does.
It
It
does.
does. The response times are excellent, and they need to be, because if
But it's worth
something's...
knowing about, I think we
Yes.
one of the things that I know we've been concerned about, and through my tenure on the board and even prior, is a potential of putting a signal over by the town park. Right on Route 35.
Yeah.
Right at the entrance of the town park, there's been some serious accidents there.
Right.
One, just within the last couple of years, that I believe was a fatality. And every time we petitioned the DOT on that one, you know, they look at us, you know, and turn around and
Sure.
say, no, if you want to pay for it, you do it yourself, but they don't feel that way. I think that'd be a great collaboration with you to work with us, you know, to be able to accomplish that, or our town engineer. We know we've done some stuff on that, but that's something where, regardless of what goes on at the town park, if we increase any activity there,
Right.
I don't know if that's gonna happen or not in the
Right.
future, but no matter what, with the activity we have there presently, it would call for a signal there. At least a signal that operates at certain points in time, maybe during day camp and things like that, when we have actually.
Heightened activity.
Exactly,
Yeah.
we station an officer out there right now, which is definitely, you know, a hazard even to put that patrolman out there, so. That is something.
I'll try to look up some data regarding a specific area.
That's why, I don't know. Yeah.
Anywhere there's a concentration, or, you know, there are places like, we've been looking at, certainly going down the hill by Yellow Monkey, we've always had concerns there, you know, and
Fifth
asked,
Division, that's
and we've
right.
asked the DOT, you know, can we do a stoplight at the bottom or something, and every time it's always the counts are not high enough or something like that. Or down at Golden's Bridge, we've been pushing to see if we can make pedestrian enhancements there. You have a situation where every commuter coming from the east lot has to walk across the highway on-ramp. So you're mourning with these coffee dazed, you know, so is there a concentration of accidents in these places? We don't know, and I feel like, you know, we ought to know these things.
Between our service and the police department, we should be able to get some sort
To
of
the
data
extent
on
you can
clusters-
do it
on clusters
without
of
getting away
accidents.
from your main mission, that would be great.
I will certainly try.
What can we do for you?
Well, certainly getting the volunteer membership up helps. Unlike a lot of other advanced life support agencies, we don't transport and we don't bill patients. That's one of the things that we don't do. So what we were able to find out over the course of the years is less calls we do and the quicker turnaround time we have, meaning less time the paramedic is engaged in a call from start to finish, the better response times the other units have. So, anecdotally, you could imagine if you have 3-4 units, let's say 3 units available, and the call happens, it just so happens the response times for those 3 units that are available is less. So less units available increases response times. With that said, if the volunteers get out, the basic life support, and is able to meet the paramedics in a timely fashion or get there even before us in many cases, Lewisboro is fantastic at it. They have an incredible response in Lewisboro. But going forward, as membership wanes, it would be great if citizens volunteer for the Volunteer Ambulance Corps and the fire.
Is there some kind of collaborative training we could do with respect to that? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Collaborative training is already occurring between the VACs
Right.
in all the areas along with us. We do various things with the county and the VACs.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of training we could do to attract future volunteers,
Okay.
but certainly that's something that would help.
Well, at some of the bigger events, that we have in town, whether it was the library fair that just passed or the fireworks that happen usually late June, maybe you guys want to, we give you a spot to set up a table or something like that, where you can kind of, display what you guys do and everything. I know that the Lewisboro Volunteer Ambulance has their auction. And
Yeah,
they
they're
do
there.
that,
I was there at the auction.
But I think something that, not everybody goes to the auction and all,
Right.
maybe, a few events, throughout the year, if you guys can be there and we could facilitate
Absolutely.
giving you a free table or whatever it is there, that would be something that
Absolutely.
would drum up.
Most of our paramedics are members of the VAC of various towns in the area themselves. It's, so they're very active.
3 things I've learned about you since I've been in this job. You are one of the most professional groups who it's my pleasure to work with.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Second, you are statistically driven, and that's good. I mean, you actually know what the statistics are in each place you work. Finally, this isn't about you as much as about LVAC and Vista Fire Department. We are lucky to have 2 of the most professional volunteer groups in the county.
Couldn't agree more.
And I'm learning that from people who are in a position to judge, quite honestly.
They came in, they've been very helpful with the board making decisions, especially with paving of Chapel. One of the things, we had asked for was information from police department, from LVAC, from Vista, fire department, and that was one of the, the driving forces with response time and all, and some of the roads that are in such poor condition, God forbid, a call comes during a certain season, I see a lot of heads saying, exactly, you can't get there, you couldn't get the Rampart Pass or,
bad weather.
so that was, a driving force on getting that done, so really appreciate that.
We do too.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
We have an item here called unfinished business. Discuss regulation, installation, and use of emergency alarm systems. I have not done sufficient homework on this, quite honestly, to move this discussion forward.
So let's skip it.
I've been working with both Somers and Bedford to find as much out as much as I can about what they're doing.
Carry it over.
So I'd like to carry it over. I would like to move to the court budget, if I might. I know you're not next on the list, but I think
You're
that
there.
you're
Why
here.
not?
which gives you a significant edge.
I'm Mark Seedoff, I'm one of the town justices.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And this is Judge Suicide, the other town justice. And we would thank the board for the invitation to speak here this evening. We are very cognizant of the budget problems that the town is experiencing now. Want to get that? And it's okay. And in presenting our budget, we will go back to the year 2007, when the board back then was gracious enough to grant our request for two full-time court clerks. Since 2007, the new matters, which people are not aware, the town court handles criminal matters and retains jurisdiction over misdemeanors. We handle all the vehicle and traffic matters in the town, whether the tickets are issued by the state police, the county police, or our own local Lewisboro Police Department. We also have a civil jurisdiction where we hear small claims matters up to $3,000 and landlord-tenant matters for unlimited monetary jurisdiction. Since 2007, each and every year, the amount of cases that have come into the court and files been opened have increased substantially. With the two town clerks since 2007, we meet all the additional auditing and all the additional reporting that's imposed upon us by the New York State Controller and by the Office of Court Administration. There are many in the room that are probably familiar with a report done by the New York Times that was scathing on the village courts and the town courts. And as a result, the way government works, they react by requiring more and more oversight. With the two town clerks, we have kept current with all the auditing and all the reporting requirements. Also, this year, 2012, we are on a pace to break the record of new cases being opened and older cases being closed. And with the two clerks that we have now, we have efficiently met those burdens. Further, the court is never in the position to discuss revenue. The court is not a revenue-generating agency. We are there to dispense justice and make sure everybody in the town, whether it's a civil matter, a vehicle traffic matter, or a criminal matter, are treated fairly and get their fair say in court. That being said, over the last 2 years, the court has submitted to the town funds in excess of what it costs the town to run the court, staff the court, and cover the court's expenses. So it is fair to say that we are not net revenue neutral. We have submitted to the town more than it costs the town to run our court. Also, last year, during budget negotiations, the court, the town board, and the building department came to an agreement whereby Ms. Harris, who's sitting in the audience, was to work for the town buildings department twice a week on, I believe, Wednesday and Friday.
In the morning.
In the mornings, okay? So that was an agreement where the court reached with the town and the building department to add efficiency to both the court and the town. And I'm proud to say that it's my understanding that Ms. Harris has contributed extremely well to the building department's efficiency. The supervisor, through our clerks, had asked the court to submit a budget for 2013 that was 2% less than the adjusted budget for 2012. And we have actually done that, and I just want to give a chart that our clerks prepared to the town board and also to Mr. Matheson. If you could just pass those out. I just need one back to Julie. Thank you. And you'll see reading left to right that we have a 2010, 2011, an original 2012 budget, and an adjusted budget of 2012 with a bottom number of 163,330.72. We originally had submitted a budget where you see 2013 original requested stage budget to the town asking for $165,789. That included both raises for the court, being the judges, and the clerks. However, at the town board's request and at the supervisor's request, you'll see a 2013 submitted budget with a 2% reduction. That reduction is from the adjusted budget for 2012. through the work of the clerks in providing the court with the information, we have submitted a budget for 2013 in the amount of $159,321, which is slightly more than the 2% that the board requested.
A reduction.
I'm sorry, slightly, more than 2%. So with that in mind, this is a bare bones budget. We did not inflate a budget to come before the board and present and then negotiate. The board, through the supervisor, asked us for a bare bones budget, a 2% reduction, and we've given it to the board. And we would just ask that the town approve what we've requested.
Leo, what's the fully loaded budget on the court that with benefits?
That I'm not certain of, Peter, but let's say it's roughly, it would make this 159, roughly 209, 219 in that area.
But that's still a reduction from the,
Yeah, that's what I like to think, that's what I
that
like
would
to
still be a
think.
2% reduction from the fully, what you, I don't know what a fully loaded budget is. Okay.
That's fine.
So it'd still be within the 2% request that the town has made of the court.
Probably, with what you could submit in your control, yes.
Okay.
That's great.
What's the increase in benefits going to cost this year?
For the entire town.
Yeah. What's the raise? What's the?
8.2%.
8.2%? So you'd have to take 8.2% on top of whatever those FTEs are to see if that
What is that in
actual
English?
2%.
Full-time employees.
Full-time employees.
Thank you.
8.2% is medical,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
not
that's-
without including pension.
That's right.
All right, I'm just,
I just, when we know, you know, when we look at this, I mean, it's all gotta mesh.
Great.
Nice job, guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Very much.
okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you both. Robin,
Yes.
thank you for your help in the building department. You are making a real contribution there.
My pleasure.
I think that's great. Works for me.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. We are a somewhat,
Why do we have?
and what is this, though, another?
no, just in case any of you didn't realize what Connie does, when she's on vacation, some of our paperwork has fallen sadly out of joint. All right, let's move on to approval of, actually,
Court, yeah, court is here. Court.
to Emergency Management Committee membership. I was at an emergency meeting at the schools, and it became apparent that there is a sort of group which is lost in the middle between the town and the schools at the moment, and it is all the preschools in town. We've got 5 or 6 preschools, and they are not included in the schools plans, and we, quite honestly, have not paid much attention, or I have not paid any attention to them. It strikes me that I would like, the preschool directors meet regularly as a group, and I would like them to appoint one of those directors to join our emergency management committee.
Who's interested? Which one?
What?
Which one's interested, you know?
Oh.
We had one of the meetings a couple of years ago.
I know one of them is interested. I don't know whether she will end up being the one, but the director of the Presbyterian,
Yeah.
South Salem Presbyterian Church is certainly interested.
They have plans, I mean, they're nascent plans, and they presented them to us a couple of years ago, but they have stuff in the works. But
Sorry,
it
I
would
wasn't
be-
aware of
No,
it.
that's fine, but it would be very, very smart to integrate them into the overall plan that we do.
So I'd like to move a resolution.
You need to expand the
Yes.
number allowable in the committee first, which is
Yeah,
fine
that's
with
what you have to
me.
do.
Oh, all right.
I mean, as a matter of, they have to be ensconced in some,
Is it statutory, the number? We have 11. And
Oh,
one's
you
a
just counted
double.
already?
Yeah, one's a double. Adam is chairman and member, so 10, I guess.
Well, I'd like to move that we increase the membership of the committee to 11, and that we invite the directors of the preschools in town, with my encouragement, to appoint one of their member to this committee.
Second, is the membership number statutory?
Can we do that, Jen?
That's what I'm sorry, I was just seeing if I had a copy of it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I need to check whether.
If it's statutory, we can
limited
change it.
your-
Would you?
You can still do
Oh,
what you're doing,
okay.
subject to.
Modifications.
attorney
Okay.
reviewing that. It's
Why don't
not
we-
a statutory number, if you want to move it, or you can.
Do you want to just invite them as a member at large? We could probably do that.
You can do that, for
Why-
sure.
why
All
don't-
right, let's
Second
do
is
that then,
modified.
because voting doesn't occur on this committee.
No, it doesn't. It's just coordination.
It's a coordination committee. All right, let's restate that then, as I'd like to propose a resolution to invite one of the directors of the preschools in town to join the emergency management committee as a member at large.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to move to the, to approve bills. Approval of claims, sorry, is the proper term.
I'm figuring out, if you're looking at $60,000 in benefits times an 8.2% increase, they're looking at about a $5,000 increase in benefit costs. So if you tack that on, you're looking at $164,000. So not counting your benefits, but they're flat. They're flat as far as accounting for the raise in benefits. If you threw the benefits in, they're still above, but they did a good job.
That's what somebody said. No, I'll second your motion to approve claims.
Oh, I didn't make one, but fine.
Yeah.
We've got a
Make a motion to approve the claims
Second.
as submitted.
discussion. If Dana was here, I would ask her why her basketballs were quite so bloody expensive, but
I think each kid gets a basketball.
they do?
Yeah.
Is that the
Some of the
reason?
programs.
Okay.
Yeah, mini training program.
But I have been through these and I think they're a sensible group.
Anything, John?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
All in favour?
Aye.
All right. Let us move to announcements. There is a gathering all day, or most of the day, on the Trailside Museum to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Ward Pound Bridge Reservation. That's on the 13th, Saturday, the 13th of October. I am asking the board's indulgence to allow me to craft a suitable proclamation for that occasion and to deliver it at the ceremony, which is, I think, at noon.
I think that'd be totally appropriate.
Very good. I move we indulge you.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. I'm sorry, I should have done it before, but I only just realized that I was expected to come up with a proclamation.
Should be a great event. Unfortunately, I can't be there, but I have a prior engagement, but it seems like it should be a great event.
I agree.
Are there any other announcements which board members have got? In that case, I'm going to poll the board, if I may. Dan?
Well, NWEAC passed the agreement to work with the towns on putting together this solar buyers co-op, to engineer these projects to allow the towns to utilize the solar facilities on a service basis on a very advantageous conditions. So we'll be getting from them they're calling a survey document to itemize the sites that we think might have potential. And then the counterparty at some point will be sort of reviewing those, and we'll see if something comes out of that, but that's at least in place there. So. Oh, and the other thing was, last session we approved the NYSERDA application for the appliance rebates, and Joel continued to do work on that. I just checked in with him, and he did say you're putting those air units aside for the moment, that there's just...
Yeah, they're not something we're waiting to get our hands on at the moment anyway, you know, so I don't want to sit around in boxes for a couple of years before we use them.
Yeah, and we had questions about the idea about putting central air in and on a true instead of...
But you did add a postage meter, or have you already said that?
I'm looking into that to see if that qualifies. I'm trying to find the right brand that works for that.
Okay.
I'm not sure yet.
And more interesting on the energy side is a lot of these floodlights, swapping them out from the, what type you have on there now? The sodium?
High pressure sodium.
High pressure sodium, things like that. It's LED, so we might get a little more kicker out of that. And then we were talking about the potential of using the cold climate heat pump for a place like Fulton's Bridge. And so Joel and I will follow up. It's not available under this list, but it may stand on its own as an economics anyway, or it may fit under one of the other NYSERDA programs. So something we'll continue to look into. This energy manager, Paul Christensen, I bumped into him tonight again, at a soccer game, and he said he was also going to be looking into those, see in the school system and the peripheral buildings might be able to benefit from that. So more work to be done there.
Joel, I got your email about the copier policy there. I just didn't get a chance to get a hold of anything yet. I don't even know if we actually have one, but I'm going to see if there's something there. Looking around, I found some sample ones from some universities and stuff, but we'll lose. There's a dozen right off the bat. Not even putting a lot of thought into it. So that's great.
The printers.
The printers.
Yeah.
Printers and copiers.
Yeah.
Our policy on them,
And scanners.
Good.
So that's good. I mean, I think it's the first televised meeting since the library fair. I think I just want to thank all the volunteers in the library for all the work they did to put on another great event. I know that the weather wasn't totally with us, but it was a really nice event. And it's great to see the townspeople come out and the kids and all and enjoy it. That's all I got right now.
John?
I want to compliment the justices tonight for coming in with a budget mindful of the financial constraints that this town is confronted with. I know that was very thoughtful, and I want to compliment the supervisor who clearly had a conversation with them in advance of the presentation. And in deference to the other department heads, I would hope that they would go to school on the manner in which the court presented its budget tonight, and would use the court's presentation as a vehicle going forward to working collaboratively and in conjunction with the board during these very tough financial constraints. So I was very impressed with the presentation tonight, and I thank all involved with it.
Joining the comments, I have nothing further to
I have one thing which I should mention for people's, in case anybody's interested. I am conscious that we have got this housing settlement which we have to come up on in the next year and figure out exactly what this town is going to do. And so I plan to attend a 3-day course at the Pace University Law School about that housing settlement.
Can you send that information to me?
Yes, sir.
Dates and times? Thanks.
Yeah, I'll send it to anybody who is interested in attending that. I must admit, I thought we'd all got it. I mean, did Tom send it to everybody? Maybe not.
No.
Sorry. All right, in that case, I am going to I'm going to mention the fact that we've got a work session scheduled next Monday, October the 15th at 7:30 in the Lewisboro Library, and another one scheduled on Monday, October 22nd at the Lewisboro Library at 7:30. Both of those will primarily be involved with the budget.
Both work sessions?
Both work sessions. There are two other issues we need to tackle.
22nd as well.
I hope the 22nd.
Both the work sessions.
So the next 2 Mondays.
Yes.
When are we gonna start looking at the budget as far as like the big picture type of look? 22nd? Okay. Good.
That's why I want to, and I think initially, probably the first time we look at that, we will do better in a work session.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'd like to move that we adjourn to executive session in order to consider personnel issues pertaining to specific employees.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Why don't